Many Lives, Many Masters is the work done by Dr. Brian L. Weiss, a prominent psychiatrist, which explores the concepts of past life regression and reincarnation. This includes the experiences with one of his patients, Catherine, and how these sessions profoundly changed his views on psychology, spirituality, and the nature of human existence. Catherine was a young 27-year-old woman plagued by severe anxiety, panic attacks, and phobias. After conventional therapies failed to alleviate her symptoms, Dr. Weiss decided to use hypnosis to explore her subconscious mind. It was during these sessions that Catherine began to recall past life memories. Although these symptoms had been with her since childhood, in the recent past they had become much worse. Every day she found herself more emotionally paralyzed and less able to function. She was terrified and understandably depressed. For 18 months, he used conventional methods of therapy to help her overcome her symptoms. When nothing seemed to work, he tried hypnosis. In a series of trance states, Catherine recalled past life memories that proved to be the causative factors of her symptoms. She also was able to act as a conduit for information from highly evolved spirit entities, and through them she revealed many of the secrets of life and of death. In just a few short months, her symptoms disappeared, and she resumed her life, happier and more at peace than ever before. Perhaps, under hypnosis, Catherine was able to focus in on the part of her subconscious mind that stored actual past life memories, or perhaps she had tapped into what the psychoanalyst Carl Jung termed the collective unconscious, the energy source that surrounds us and contains the memories of the entire human race. He begins by delving into her childhood, looking for the original sources of her problems. She could not remember any particularly traumatic moments in her childhood that would explain the epidemic of fears in her life. She able to recall that she had a fear with water or swimming pool. Her mother was depressed for long, and her father had the history of alcoholic abuse. She able to recall every little detail in the next 18 months. Often, patients almost always improve when they remember unpleasant influences from their past, when they learn to recognize and correct maladaptive behavior patterns, and when they develop insight and view their problems from a larger, more detached perspective. But Catherine had not improved. During the period of treatment, a strange thing happened. During a guided tour in an Egyptian exhibition, although she never studied history of the same, when the guide began to describe some of the artifacts in the exhibit, she found herself correcting him, and she was right. The guide was surprised. Catherine was stunned. How did she know these things? Why did she feel so strongly that she was right, so sure of herself that she corrected the guide in public? In her next appointment, she told everything to her doctor. So both agreed now for a hypnosis to Catherine. Hypnosis is an excellent tool to help a patient remember long-forgotten incidents. There is nothing mysterious about it. It is just a state of focused concentration. During hypnosis, after saying a few bad incidents of her childhood, Catherine said a worse incident. At age 3, the worst event of all had occurred. She remembered awakening in her dark bedroom and being aware that her father was in her room. He reeked of alcohol then, and she could smell it now. He touched her and rubbed her, even down there. She was terrified and began to cry. The doctor felt that he had the information now, the key to the lock. He was sure that her symptoms would improve quickly and dramatically. He softly suggested to her that the experience was over, that she was no longer in her bedroom, but was resting quietly, still in a trance. The sobbing ended. He took her forward in time to her current age. He tried to help her accept and integrate her new knowledge. In the drama of uncovering her painful and deeply repressed memories, I had entirely forgotten to look for the possible childhood connection to her knowledge of the Egyptian artifacts. But he expected a significant improvement in her symptoms now. Despite this new understanding, the next week she reported that her symptoms remained intact, as severe as ever. He was surprised. He could not understand what was wrong. Could something have happened earlier than age 3? So he decided to do further hypnosis. He instructed her firmly and clearly, "Go back to the time from which your symptoms arise." He was totally unprepared for what came next. Catherine said, "I see white steps leading up to a building, a big white building with pillars, open in front. There are no doorways. I'm wearing a long dress, a sack made of rough material. My hair is braided, long blonde hair." He was confused. He wasn't sure what was happening. He asked her what the year was, what her name was. "Aronda. I am 18. I see a marketplace in front of the building. There are baskets. Carrying the baskets on shoulders. We live in a valley. There is no water. The year is 1863 BC. The area is barren, hot, and sandy. There is a well, no rivers." After this, the doctor asked her to go several years ahead in time. Then she said, "There are trees and a stone road. I see a fire with cooking. My hair is blonde. I'm wearing a long, coarse brown dress and sandals. I am 25. I have a girl child whose name is Cleistra. She's Rachel, who is presently her niece. They have always had an extremely close relationship." The doctor was so confused to see that all those dates, names, cloths or trees were so definite. The doctor instructed her to go forward to the time of her death. She said, "There are big waves knocking down trees. There's no place to run. It's cold. The water is cold. I have to save my baby, but I cannot just have to hold her tight. I drown. The water chokes me. I can't breathe, can't swallow salty water. My baby is torn out of my arms." Catherine was gasping and having difficulty breathing. Suddenly her body relaxed completely, and her breathing became deep and even. "I see clouds. My baby's with me, and others from my village. I see my brother." She was resting. This lifetime had ended. The doctor said, "Do you remember anything else?" She replied, "About other two births." Since Catherine had recognized her niece in an ancient lifetime, the doctor impulsively asked her if he was present in any of her lifetimes. He was curious about his role, if any, in her remembrances. She responded quickly, in contrast to the previous very slow and deliberate recall. "You are my teacher, sitting on a ledge. You teach us from books. You are old with grey hair. You're wearing a white dress with gold trim. Your name is Diogenes. You teach us symbols, triangles. You are very wise. The year is 1568 BC. This was approximately 1200 years before the noted Greek cynic philosopher Diogenes. The name was not an uncommon one. The first session had ended. Even more amazing ones were yet to come. After 1 week, Catherine bounced into the doctor's office for her next hypnosis session. Beautiful to begin with, she was more radiant than ever. She happily announced that her lifelong fear of drowning had disappeared. Her fears of choking were somewhat diminished. Her sleep was no longer interrupted by the nightmare of a collapsing bridge. In the next session, the doctor now told her to go back beyond the normal limits of space and time, to go back and see if her dream had roots in a previous reincarnation. She said, "I see steps leading up to a tower overlooking the mountains, but also the sea. I am a boy. My hair is blonde, strange hair. My clothes are short, brown and white, made from animal skins. It's Netherlands, around 1473. Name is Johan." The doctor asked her to go forward till around her death, forelooking some dramatic events. Catherine began to speak. "There are boats, like canoes, brightly painted. We have weapons, spears, slings, bows and arrows, but bigger. There are big, strange oars on the boat everyone has to row. We may be lost. It is dark. There are no lights. I am afraid. There are other boats with us. I'm afraid of the animals. We sleep on dirty, foul, smelling animal skins. We are scouting. My people are killing the others, but I am not. I do not want to kill. My knife is in my hand." Suddenly, she began to gurgle and gasp for breath. She reported that an enemy fighter had grabbed her from behind, around the neck, and had slit her throat with his knife. She saw the face of her killer before she died. It was Stuart. He looked different then, but she knew it was he. Johan had died at the age of 21. She next found herself floating above her body, observing the scene below. She drifted up to the clouds, feeling perplexed and confused. Soon she felt herself being pulled into a tiny, warm space. She was about to be born. "Somebody is holding me," she whispered slowly and dreamily. "Someone who helped with the birth. She's wearing a green dress with a white apron. She has a white hat, folded back at the corners. The room has funny windows and many sections. The building is stone. My mother has long, dark hair. She wants to hold me. There's a funny rough nightshirt on my mother. It hurts to rub against it. It feels good to be in the sun and to be warm again. It's the mother I have now." Similarly, she talked about many past lives. Sometimes she was male and sometimes she was female. At one point she talked about her life after death. Catherine said, "After my death, I feel free. There is a light and spirits, other people." Doctor asked, "What kind of thoughts do you have?" "I should have been more forgiving, but I wasn't. I did not forgive the wrongs that people did to me, and I should have. I didn't forgive the wrongs. I held them inside, and I harbored them for many years." "I see eyes. The eyes of the master spirits," Catherine whispered, "but I must wait. There are many souls in this dimension. I am not the only one. We must be patient." That is something I never learned either. There are many dimensions. The doctor asked her whether she had been here before, whether she had reincarnated many times. "I have been to different planes at different times. Each one is a level of higher consciousness. What plane we go to depends upon how far we've progressed. I learned that we must share our knowledge with other people. That we all have abilities far beyond what we use. Some of us find this out sooner than others. That you should check your vices before you come to this point. If you do not, you carry them over with you to another life. Only we can rid ourselves of the bad habits that we accumulate when we are in a physical state. The masters cannot do that for us. If you choose to fight and not to rid yourself, then you will carry them over into another life. And only when you decide that you are strong enough to master the external problems, then you will no longer have them in your next life. We are given intuitive powers we should follow and not try to resist. Those who resist will meet with danger. We are not sent back from each plane with equal powers. Some of us possess powers greater than others, because they have been accrued from other times. Thus people are not all created equal, but eventually we will reach a point where we will all be equal.